Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Goodland, the land where everything is good. Because what is better than hanging out with two best friends? My name is Norin, and I am one of those best friends.
And I'm the other one of those best friends. I am Michael.
And I managed to remember the whole intro.
You did. It's been some time since we've been able to dedicate enough time here to be able to record, but it feels good being back, and I think that's a good omen.
Yeah, I'm checking now. It looks like July 23rd was our last episode. That's 3 months ago. Almost
Absolutely.
exactly from the date of recording.
There we go. Probably by the time this is on air. So
Yeah, so um, it's been a little while, but we're back. And as you can see, some things have changed. Um,
yeah, we've each had some pretty big things happen. So how about you start? How about you start us off? Let us know what we're looking at, or to those listening, let us know what's been happening.
yeah, so probably the biggest change in the past 3 months is that I moved. Um, so I am I'm in a brand new apartment, um, in a brand new bedroom in said apartment, and that took once we got the process started, took like a whole 3 day weekend to get everything moved in, and I'm still sort of in the process, just off to the side here. A constant reminder as I get to sit here with it in full view is my closet with all the clothes I own just in a pile on the ground because I have not taken the time to put away my laundry yet. It's clean. The clothes are clean. They're just in a big pile that I dig through every morning.
That sounds it. Eventually, it'll reach the point where they become dirty, and then you wash them, and then you put them back up. Right? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, at this point, yeah, I'm putting the dirty ones in the dresser, and but yeah, eventually I'll take care of it. I just feel like I've been doing a bunch of other stuff that I want to do more than that.
I feel like anything sounds better than laundry.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
it is hard to get myself to do it. Like I said, they're clean. I've cleaned clothes multiple times since I've got here. I've done loads of laundry, but then I just put them back on top of the pile.
True. Yeah, and you're with a couple roommates here too, right? You get
Yeah. Um,
must be pretty nice.
Friend of the show, Jared, is one of my roommates, as well as a friend of ours, mutual friend from high school, Tanner. So it's the three of us in this bachelor pad, um, and we hardly see each other because we're never home at the same time. Between work and relationships and things like that, we are never in the same place at the same time. But
I
but
feel like
we
that's standard adult life.
Yeah, it was funny. Jared mentioned to me, he was like we live together, and now I feel like I see you just as much as I always did before.
Well, maybe we can get one of them in one of these so we can play with them a little bit more.
It would be hard for them to escape because, as I said, we live in the same place. So
True.
I do know where they live to be able to get them to join us.
Not
Uh,
bad.
what about you? What have you been doing for the past 3 months?
Yeah, I've been just busy with school. It has been wedding season, so Kelsey's been extremely busy as like a wedding florist. So we've been traveling pretty much constantly, weekend after weekend. Going to different weddings, getting set up and everything like that, even making it back to Meridian. But obviously, I was so busy with all of that and school on top of that, I didn't even have time to stop by or do anything. I hardly had time to sleep.
Yeah,
So so super busy, and then each one of that, it's like not just the weekend, but like making sure that I get caught ahead of homework so that I can miss that time, and then as soon as that's done, do my best to catch up with the homework I missed, and then before I know it, it's another trip. So thankfully wedding season has come to a close for the most part, and getting in the hang of all my classes, so now it's finally a little bit of some stability.
that's good.
Still getting there. Um, but yeah, I'm just kind of in the process of going to school, making sure that I'm choosing the major that I want. So
That's a process. That's a process for sure. I know that I changed when I started as an education major. Um, I was going to be English education, and then I was taking like two education classes, and I was like, no, this is balls. So,
no,
I,
thank you.
yeah. So then now I'm a creative writing major, and I work at a bank. So we are seeing how well that worked out.
It'll pan out.
Yeah, it'll just take some time, but um, one of the things that I've noticed since like moving out and like adult life is one of the hardest parts for me is remembering to eat. Like a lot of times I'll just forget to make food. Um, and at this point, for me, food has transitioned out of a pleasure and into a necessity. I eat purely to fuel my body. I worry not about what it tastes like or what it is that I am consuming at what time of day. It is
You don't have the time for that.
it is simply sustenance to keep me moving. Like I ate. We had those frozen hamburger patties, um,
Mm.
and I cooked up some of them to make for dinner. We had them for dinner Sunday night. Then I had them for lunch on Monday, and for dinner on Monday night, and then for lunch again on Tuesday. I had four hamburgers in the span of 3 days because that was what I had cooked, and
See,
that's all that matters now is that I'm eating.
that's what's most important. I am like so bad about that as well, especially because like the diet that Kels and I eat, it just makes it so we can't just like grab food to go. Like processed food isn't much of an option. So like anything I eat, it's not just like stick it in the microwave. It's like, oh no, I need to cook a full meal. Need to cook like every part of it. So it's just like super busy. And I swear if it wasn't for like Kel staying on top of like variety and changing meals, I would eat the same thing like every day. I would be like, this is the easiest. I'm just gonna make a whole lot of it and eat it every day this week. And then next week maybe something new. But for a week, nothing. No change. We're just keeping it easy.
Yeah, that's what it is for me. Basically, I'll make dinner. I'll bring it for lunch the next day, and then have it for dinner that day as well. So it usually takes me 3 meals to get through it, and then once I'm out of it, I'll bring a can of Chef Boyardee to work for lunch, and then that night I'll make something that'll last me another 3 meals. That's
Mhm.
that's been my pattern. 3 meals in a row, Chef Boyardee. Three more meals.
More Chef Boyardee.
Yeah,
Thankfully, I think for us, it's about like we'll make dinner. It'll last us like two dinners and a lunch. So that's kind of what we'll do. But I guess anyone listening, let us know what you do, because maybe
because
our habits aren't the best.
yeah,
Maybe we can,
obviously we need some freaking help.
maybe we can improve. What do you guys do to increase variety and not just eat for sustenance? My goodness.
Yeah, this episode was just a cry for help from us.
We need help.
We weren't brave enough to ask any other way.
Oh man. No, life is crazy. I think being an adult, there's a whole lot to get used to. A lot of it, you're not told what to do. Obviously, like you grow up and your families do different things, but like everyone's family does things differently. So then you kind of, as an adult, you're like, oh, well, this is what my family did, or this is what's easy. And we don't often get together about best practices.
What are some of your best adulting tips, Michael, that you figured out from our? Not that we've been doing it for very long,
No,
um,
not too long.
but we have been doing it. I would say fairly successfully for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
What?
I mean, we're both like, we both have a place to live. Well, you graduated. I'm on my way to graduate. Like we're we're doing some good things. We both have good jobs. But I mean, I don't know. I've got like different things that have helped me. I'd say probably like one of the best thing that's helped me is like have a good morning. Because if you have a good morning, it like really sets the tone for the day. And same if you have like a bad morning, it just kind of sets like this tone for the whole rest of the day that's kind of hard to like overcome. There's like this old like speech um from this like five-star general or something like that. And he like talks about like the importance of making your bed. Have you heard that one?
No, tell it to me.
It's pretty common. So he's I believe he's like a five-star general, and he's giving this speech as these individuals are graduating. But he's talking about how like the most important thing like in all of his training, like in all of his time, is knowing how to make your bed. And he talks about how in like the military, they're super particular about everything. But like one of the very first things that like any cadet did when they woke up was make their bed, and it was like every corner had to be done this way. There could be like nothing on the bed, no little wrinkles or folds. Like everything had to be absolutely perfect, and that's how they started out the day. And he like kind of talks about how like you should start your day making your bed. That's the very first thing that you should do. Um, and as I've done that, I've certainly seen it be helpful because it does set the tone. It's like, okay, I wake up, sometimes I'm exhausted, sometimes I got like 4 hours of sleep. But if I can just like make my bed, that just gives me like the little bit of like serotonin and like organization. It's like, okay, I made my bed. That feels pretty good. What's next? I feel like I can take on something more. And then at the end of the day, like it does make a difference kind of like coming home to a bed that's like nice and made than like coming home and just being like, ah, man, this is where it started. This is where the chaos
Yeah,
chaos began
yeah,
at 5 a.m. Um, but just like not even like making your bed. Obviously, that's like kind of like an example there. But like even just the little things. If you can do something that takes like 5 minutes, do it. And then you'll just feel so much better. And then you can snowball if you want, or you could say, what, I did 5 minutes. I deserve a break. You
that's
know.
true. Yeah, no, I totally like that. I sort of make my bed. Basically, I just pull the sheets back up, um, but it's enough for me. um, I I like that though, like that idea of starting off with like a small accomplishment. Um,
Hmm.
that way you can kind of get that boost. I sort of have it planned out so that when my alarm goes off, I have exactly enough time to get out the door in time for work. I've found out how to maximize my sleep, so I wake up and then everything is down to the minute. I have no extra time. So if a task takes longer than it is intended to, I will be late
Mm.
for work. I will simply be late for work.
I was gonna say I get Snapchats pretty often of you being late for work.
Yeah, that is a rather new habit for me. I don't know. I don't know why, but over the past few months, I have developed this aversion to being early to things. I don't know what it is, but like I used to be really good about it. I was usually at least 10 minutes early to things that I wanted to go to. I would make sure I would leave
Mm.
early enough to get to places on time. But now I have found myself like being like, okay, it's going to take me exactly this amount of time to get to a place, so I'm not going to leave until I absolutely have to. And then,
Not gonna leave a minute sooner than that.
yeah, and then inevitably things go wrong and I end up late. So I've gone from very punctual to very not over the past couple of months, and I don't know why. Um, I mean, it happened before I moved out. It was while I was at home and stuff too. I'm not sure what triggered that change in me, but um,
Yeah.
now I just don't want to be early, and I can't. I don't know why, but
Yeah, I can feel that.
it has gotten me into a little bit of trouble.
What are like some things that you do? Like obviously it sounds like your mornings or at least they sound pretty well planned out. You have like a little checklist that you go through, stuff like that. What are like some things, even though like things are crazy in the mornings getting like on time, what are some like nice productivity or like little adult things that you do?
My checklist when I wake up to make sure that my morning schedule. I wake up and then I will usually check my phone, and that's probably the part that gives me the most trouble. But I end up
Mm.
with just a bunch of notifications by the time that I wake up, and I hate having notifications. So I just try and look at each of the notifications and clear them out. And once I've got the notifications out of the way, I get up and I make my bed very haphazardly. I pick out the clothes that I'm going to wear, and then I shower. And after I shower, I go and eat breakfast really quick, usually a bowl of cereal or something quick like some toaster waffles. And then I come and brush my teeth, and then I get my wallet and I leave.
Yeah, pretty nice and easy. Is that like intentional planning it out like that, like a little checklist?
Yes, and I usually allot myself 15 minutes after breakfast for a pre-work poop, because that is very necessary sometimes.
That's important.
Yeah, but oftentimes that's what gets me into the most trouble, and makes me late. But yeah, those are the steps that I need to take to get ready in the morning. And I shower, eat, brush my teeth, and then I'm out.
Yeah, I definitely having like a good morning schedule is like so important. Like I think about my schedule. If I throw it off by like watching like TikToks for like 5 minutes longer, oh, I'm so behind on everything.
Yeah.
And if you like ask me while I'm laying there, like, hey, would you rather look at like some memes or eat breakfast? I probably would choose breakfast. But when I'm sitting there, just like not even thinking about it, oh, I will spend all that time doing things I shouldn't.
Yeah, TikTok is such a time suck. It's dangerous. Before I downloaded it, I was very against it because all I would see were like the cringe compilations that people put on Instagram.
Yeah, I was the same for me.
And so I was like, I don't need this. This is like weird and cringy, and it doesn't seem all that funny outside of just like cringe seeking. And then my little brother kept sending me stuff that was really freaking funny. I keep having to catch myself not swearing because this is a family show. This is a family show. But Logan kept sending me stuff, and I was like, okay, this is really good. So finally he got me to break down and download it, and I will find myself scrolling for like 45 minutes to an hour at a time.
It's
if
just
I've
too
got nothing
easy.
else to do. Yeah. And I was astounded at how quickly the algorithm adopted my taste. Like
It picks up fast.
Yeah, I was like, they took who I am as a person and boiled it down to its like essential parts, and were like, here you go, here are videos. And that took like 2 days. And they knew everything that mattered to me.
Yeah, well, like I've been studying marketing, and like that's literally something that I've been studying, like how you can make an algorithm, because if you can know what a person wants, you can get them to spend 45 minutes completely unplanned.
Yeah.
I think of like what are some other things I dedicate that much time to, and there are not many.
Oh.
Which is like scary. I've definitely been trying to be better about it, but man, it's too easy.
One of my coworkers was telling me that he had to delete it because he was like, it was just, I was losing too much, and I was like, I'm good for you for having the strength to do that. But
Yeah, that's a lot of self-control. Gotta respect that. That's definitely like certainly one of those like adult decisions. Like I never thought that one day I'd have to choose like, hey, are you gonna actually have social media or not? That was just always like a part of life growing up, But now it's like, okay, I gotta choose what's important here.
I don't think that I like, unless it gets like super bad and like debilitating, I don't think I'll ever get rid of it, just because social media is how I know what is even going on anywhere anymore. Like all the news that I learn is through Twitter, articles.
Yeah, well, it's just so much more than just social media if you use it right. If you're
Yeah,
using it, like, it's such a great tool for good. I think that's something like too many people try and like put it like black and white with social media. It's either like good or bad, but like, man, it can be so good if you're using it right. Like, you can stay up to date, you can learn, like, you can be a part of things. Like, I love using TikTok for learning.
yeah,
Like Kels and I will like watch some things, like we'll hop on my TikTok like in the evening to watch some, and like I'll have a problem finding memes, like because everything is so educational on my TikTok. So like certainly can be such a good source for good things, but definitely has like potential to not be so.
yeah. And like for me, Twitter is the one that I use the most, um, mainly because at work now, I I will just keep Twitter open in my
Mm,
web browser, and whenever we're slow, I'll just scroll through Twitter at work. It's probably the easiest one for me to use at work, and I just like my Twitter at this point, as far as like being like a social media, it's I see very little from people that I actually know. Most of the
mm-hmm,
stuff that I see on Twitter now is discussions about things that I enjoy from people I don't really know. So it's news about movies and video games and TV. It's discussions of D&D and things like that.
mm-hmm,
My Twitter has crafted itself to be um, less of like a social media in the sense of updating people on my life and learning about the lives of my acquaintances, and it's become for me just a way to connect into the things that I am passionate about. Um, and that's why I probably use Twitter more often than anything else. Facebook is probably the opposite of that. Facebook is just like family members and stuff like that, and
yeah, not too
and
often.
and I don't really care. Um, uh,
Not the highest priority in comparison.
yeah, yeah. I would much rather read about um, the new Star Wars show coming out in December than hear about your trip to Six Flags.
I can understand that. I think, yeah, it's crazy to think about how our generation definitely has had social media like for the longest time. It's really interesting to think about. Definitely a part of being an adult that there aren't any like manuals on.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. You just kind of show up. It's one of those things that you just learn. Um,
Hmm.
which, I mean, I guess there are like classes about social media once you get to like college at the very least.
So I'm
Um,
in some of those.
yeah, yeah, learning how to use them effectively. But it's at that point it feels like it's almost a little late. Like,
Yeah. Like, oh man, I should have. If I knew this when I was 12, man.
well, and like the amount of influence that social media has on the lives of young people,
Hmm.
like I feel like they're the ones that need the coaching on how it works and how they get to you. But
I mean, one adult thing. If we have kids, who's gonna teach them? That's gonna, we're gonna need to make those decisions. Which, man, right now, like we discussed, it's focusing on the morning schedule, focusing on putting clothes away.
yeah, one thing at a time.
Yep.
For me, it's a good day if I remember to eat lunch.
Yep. Exactly. I think it's, you just pick up on things and things become habit after a while. That's why I think it's like so important to get good habits going. Because when you get the bad habits going, man, it's like so much work to reverse that. But then, like, once you get like one good habit down, then you can start working on like another good habit. And then eventually you're like this awesome, great, fully functional person. That's the goal.
Yeah, the biggest step for me down that road was redoing my sleep schedule, um,
Mm,
because before I got hired at the bank, um, I never really worked very early, so I would stay up until like 3 or 4 in the morning every night, um, and I would wake up at like noon um, if I didn't have work, and so when I had to start waking up consistently. Um, earlier than I had been for years because I never took early classes in college either. Um, I realized that I just kept feeling really sick when I woke up, like sick to my stomach. I would just be nauseous when I woke up. Um, but I found out that it was because I wasn't getting enough sleep. So if I started going to bed earlier, around like 11 p.m., midnight now, and now that I'm getting more sleep, I don't feel sick when I wake up anymore. And it was hard for me to comprehend. Like, I would wake up to go to work, and I'd be like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I just felt awful. I just was nauseous.
Yeah.
And then I started sleeping like a regular human being, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I don't feel like I'm going to be sick anymore. That must have been
Not
the problem. Yeah. Like, it was an easy fix. It was just a habit I had to get into, and then it instantly, like, it was tangible results. Like, I felt myself physically being better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've had a few jobs where I'd be like showing up at like 5 a.m. I've done that like through like 3 jobs up to this point, and I personally love that, but it is only possible if you're going to bed early. I would much rather have like an early start to my day, but I mean that means that you gotta go to bed early, which is very difficult to do, especially like being a college student, because so many of my deadlines I'm like pushing the assignments to like turn it in at like 11:58, so then it's like, oh man, well, I need to get up at 6, like at least by 6, I need to be ready by then. So it's just like it's burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah, when I was in school, I feel like I didn't have as much of a problem with it. Like, when I was actually in college, I would stay up really late and wake up early to get to class, and I was exhausted all the time, but it was manageable. But something now about it being for work instead of school, it just feels like I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something. What's like the best adulting, like, functional tip that you learned in college? Doesn't have to be something you've held on to, I guess. It may have lost touch with it, but what's like the best nice like functional tip you learned from that?
Um, I think, like, rationing, and not just like food, but like rationing, like, myself and the time that I devote to things as well. Like,
Mm.
I feel like in college I had to learn that, there's only so much of myself that I can give to certain things, and some of that was school. Like, there's only so much I can give to my schoolwork before I get burnt out, and it's not going to be any good. At some point, I have to take some time to myself, or nothing's going to be good. And so I just kind of turned everything into a game of pieces. So if it was food, like I was a broke college student, I need to make this last, so I'm going to
Yeah, rationing food is pretty easy
yeah,
to relate to understand.
portion everything. And then beyond that, like I was saying, like, if I would be working a on a project of some kind, for me they were papers because I was an English major. So if I was working on a paper, I would be like, I got to work for this much time, and then I need to take a break, because otherwise my brain is going to shut off, and nothing I write is going to be, it's going to be so bad I'm going to have to rewrite it all anyway.
Yeah, not worth that. That makes sense.
Every once in a while I would get in the zone where I would be like writing a 12-page paper, and I'd get like 3 pages in, and then I would just gun it clear to the end. But that was like a feeling, like it would come over me, and it would be like, okay, it's time. Like, when you're in that state.
That makes sense. Yeah. Definitely am about halfway through college and can definitely agree. I feel like when it comes to rationing, the biggest thing I've had to learn is like rationing time. Because there's only so much of it. That's one thing. Every person has the same amount of time in the world. we just do different things with it. So I need to like realize that, hey, if I spend like 75 minutes watching TikToks, that means 75 minutes not doing something else. Like just kind of like realizing that, because like growing up, especially as a kid and teenager, I really didn't focus that much on time management because I always felt like I had enough hours to do what I wanted and then like nothing else for a good amount of time. But now it's like I've got little opportunity costs. There's only so much I can do. I'm only one person with 24 hours.
That's part of why when my sleep schedule was so bad, that's part of why it was so bad, because I felt like everything I was doing during the day was stuff I didn't want to do, like homework and work and chores and stuff like that. So by the time that it got to all that... Okay, so before I interrupted myself by smacking my keyboard and stopping our recording, I was saying that by the time I got done with everything I had to do, it was so late that if I wanted to do anything that I wanted to do, I had to stay up till 2 or 3 a.m. And so that's why I did it, because I felt like those late hours of the morning were the only times I could have time for myself. So I've had to get better about making time for myself during the day so I don't have to stay up that late. Otherwise, yeah. I will probably quite literally drive myself insane.
Yeah, you gotta stay on top of that. Gotta make sure that you have time for yourself, and preferably not at midnight. Preferably, you can make time during the day.
Yeah, if you can avoid it.
Yeah, especially if you're like someone else in your life, like even if it's just like friends or like family or like a spouse or a relationship, like you got to make sure that you're taking care of all that stuff. So I'd say that probably could be like a tagline for this: take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Norton and I have been pretty busy, but we've been taking care of ourselves as best we can.
That's why there hasn't been an episode for 3 months, because that was part of taking care of ourselves, was using recording time for other stuff.
And that's Goodland. It focuses on the good things. So if Goodland became not good for us, well, that's not good.
Well, exactly. Goodland is a land where everything is good, and so if you bring the anxieties and stuff from the outside into it, it just poisons the well.
And we're known for our good wells.
We've got the best wells around. Just check the Yelp reviews.
Just check the Yelp. Best wells in town. Yeah, that's the thing, is bring positivity into as much as you can. That's what this podcast is all about, bringing the good things into life. But
speaking of this podcast, we've got some stuff on the horizon that we're pretty excited about. One of the things that Michael and I want to do, obviously we're both pretty big nerds, and one of the things that we're most passionate about is Dungeons and Dragons, and so we're planning this big D&D themed special that's coming up. We're going to have some guests on to talk about the game, and we'll talk about our history with it and why we like it so much. So if you have not played D&D before, I'd say if it's something that's like interested you, it'd be a great one to check out, because we'll talk about what it takes to get into it and what it's like to start. If you've not played and it doesn't interest you, listen anyway, because maybe we'll change your tune.
Yeah, maybe it's just a new perspective. Hopefully we're hoping to be able to get some guests so we can share a lot of different perspectives of D&D, not just from us, because obviously we love it. We've talked a little bit about it, but we want to hear from everyone else. So if you like D&D or have any experience, let us know. Maybe you can join us for a quick moment, a quick little segment.
Let's find someone who hates D&D and get them to talk about it too.
I would be interested to see why you hate D&D.
If you vehemently hate D&D, if every fiber of your being is anti Dungeons and Dragons, let us know. We'll talk to you on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll bring you on. So yeah, we've got some good things coming. This D&D will be like a little bit of a special focus, because we talk about it all the time. So we wanted to have some time just to focus on it. But we've got some other things coming. Some of you told us some things that you like, and we're hoping to incorporate those more. But we want to engage the audience as best we can. So let us know. Be active.
Yeah.
We'll be active back.
We heard some of the ones that we've heard so far are that hot takes were really fun. So we will do a return to hot takes. That just means we need more hot takes. So if you've got hot takes, send them our way. Let that just be a general rule of thumb. If you think of a hot take, just tweet it at us, regardless of if we're asking for them at the time or not. Just let us know.
We will be a resident hot take liaison.
If we get enough of them, we will start every episode with a hot take, even if it's not a hot take themed episode.
I like that.
We'll just do one sprinkled at the start of every episode.
Perfect.
We also heard that the Goodland game was a favorite, so we will return to that. I know that we had a lot of fun doing that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Because it was fun to kind of think of out of the box newlywed questions. So if you have any newlywed game questions of any form, just let us know, and we'll see if we can't do some audience submitted questions for those too. But yeah, we've got stuff on the horizon. We want to start getting back into recording a little more consistently. We're going to make no promises that we're going to be any more consistent, because that is a whole, I don't want to dig myself, but I can promise we're going to try. That the effort is going to be there.
We'll at least be active on the social channels.
Yeah. So come and find us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're hoping to have some fun here this season. So stick along. Stick around.
Anything else you can think of on the way out, Michael? Anything else that we need to mention here at the end?
I think that's about it. Besides all of those who have supported us, thank you so much for everything. We've got some good friends who have helped us out. So.
We do. We'd like to direct everyone toward our very good friend Parker and his music. Cusco Sucks, at Cusco Sucks. That's KUZCOSUX on Twitter. He does the music for our intro, and it is so good. And he has an album coming out on October 29th. So check that out. Go and find it and listen to it. It'll be available everywhere. It's called Your Way, and it's going to be so good. If you like our intro music, check out Cusco, because he's got some awesome stuff on the way. So we'd definitely like to thank him for our intro. And everyone else. Trevor Ball, a special shout out to our good friend Trevor Ball, who always messages me on Facebook and asks me where the show has gone.
It's back.
On September 8th, he messaged me and said, "Hey, I didn't want to keep bugging you, but I am missing something in my life, ... So, Trevor Ball, this one is for you, my friend. Hopefully we're able to fill a void in your life. Hopefully we can fix that up for you. And like I said, we've got more on the way. And thank you to everyone else for listening as well. With that, I suppose we'll bring. This was kind of a short episode. We just kind of winged this one. I don't know if you could tell, but we wang it. We just really wanged this one, and sometimes that's how it be. But we're here and we're happy, and we'll have actual segments in the future coming up, like we talked about. But it was good to be back. We hope you feel a little more productive after this one. That's kind of what this ended up being.
Yeah, a little bit focused on that. But again, let us know what you're experiencing too. We'll bring it up. But hopefully this helps. This helped me, giving me some ideas. So
yeah. Well, with that, everybody, my name's Norin.
My name's Michael.
This has been Goodland, and I'm glad you're alive.